Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing, topping our newscast. Residents of St. Thomas and St. John were in darkness again for at least the third time this year when the Water and Power Authority plant failed early Wednesday morning. WAPA crews set to work restoring the power, but some residents went without electricity for up to 10 hours. News 2's April Knight has more.
It's easily one of the longest district-wide power outages for St. Thomas and St. John. On Wednesday, residents were awakened when power went out around 4 in the morning. According to the Water and Power Authority, the Randolph-Harley power plant on St. Thomas lost generating capacity.
WAPA's interim chief executive officer Julia Reimer said that a faulty switch that's used in conjunction with the waste heat recovery boiler triggered protection devices in the power plant, which took down two generators, Unit 15 and Unit 23, a little after 4 o'clock this morning. He said water leaked into the switch, causing a high-energy fault, which resulted in the protection devices sending trip signals to the appropriate breakers.
WAPA spokesman Jean Grieux stated around 10 a.m. that they were restoring power then. A Vitima advisory, however, stated that priority will be given to hospitals, schools, the business district before the residential areas. This is the latest in a series of district-wide power outages in the past few months, lasting for hours. In early May, St. Thomas and St. John didn't have power for 5 hours. In April, St. Thomas and St. John also went through a major outage that lasted 7 hours. As for Wednesday's power outage, the Vitima advisory stated that 3 generating units were being brought back online.
We were attempting to bring 3 generators online. Initially, 3 generators was required to begin the restoration process. Once all of those devices are fully functional, the restoration process is considered completed.
Some residents were still waiting for power at 2 in the afternoon on Wednesday. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
One of the generating units that failed was WAPA's workhorse, Unit 23, which is scheduled to undergo an overhaul in September. Well, some lightning and loud thunder experienced last night. The earlier forecast today called for 70% chance of showers. Can we expect more wet weather? Be sure to tune in later in the newscast for the latest from AccuWeather. Innovative announces a traffic detour on Thursday, June 9th for the scheduled removal of a defective telephone pole on Niagara on St. Thomas. Niagara will be closed between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. to allow Innovative's technical team the opportunity to replace that telephone pole. Please select an alternate route, they say, and we apologize for any inconvenience. The Senate Committee on Health, Hospitals, and Human Services met on St. Thomas on Wednesday to consider an act that would make the Virgin Islands Developmental Disabilities Council a private agency. The change would allow the agency to receive federal funds. Here's more from that hearing.
I believe we would not fund the council, but we may be able to fund activities that the council does and then do them as a sub-grantee. But we cannot list the VIDDC as an entity under the block grant any longer.
When we make this move, if we make it, that it is very clear that if they get what they want, which is independence, that they don't lose what they need, which is the funding.
Meanwhile, as we reported, the governor submitted the fiscal year 2016-2017 budget to the Senate ahead of schedule. And on Monday, that budget came before the Senate Finance Committee, chaired by Senator Clifford Graham. News 2's April Knight looks into details of the billion-dollar budget and what areas of government get priority. Here's more.
It's going to cost some $1.35 billion to run the government. That's according to the 2017 budget presented to lawmakers on Monday by the governor's financial team. That kicks off this year's long budget review process.
As we delve into the specific details of the budget, you will find a consistent effort to allocate our admittedly scarce resources to areas of concern in our community.
According to Office of Management and Budget Director Nellen Bowery, the budget would fund some 885 new and vacant full-time positions in the government. A whopping 215 of those are under the Health Department and Human Services, 191 under the VIPD and the Bureau of Corrections, and 134 under the sprawling mechanism of the Department of Education. Notably, some 1.9 million would go to the University of the Virgin Islands, mostly for funding salary increases, in the middle of UVI's refusal to release to the public its employees' salaries. Lawmakers did note that the appropriations for the two embattled hospitals remain roughly the same in spite of their obligations, including millions in debt to WAPA. But Bowery said there's some relief for the two hospitals in the near future.
The administration will be submitting legislation for debt restructuring. $200 million will be the capital projects I mentioned earlier, and $86 million would be a working capital line. Included in the proposed working capital line will be amount for both hospitals. I think it's about $10 million each.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
In other news, it's Small Business Week in the Virgin Islands, and the U.S. Small Business Administration is highlighting small businesses at Government House in St. Croix on Thursday at 10 a.m. and then Government House in St. Thomas on Friday at 10 a.m. The Small Business Administration Office of Advocacy focuses on regulatory issues research.
I think that one of the biggest things here is I hear from the small businesses that banks aren't lending. And then I hear from the banks that small businesses aren't applying. And that's a barrier because, you know, and most of the businesses, when they're going to the banks and they've done their part and they're not able to get a loan, you know, they're not able to expand, not able to grow. They're not able to buy that building or that piece of equipment or what they need to take things to the next level. At the end of the day, small businesses are the engine that drive our economy. And in order for them to drive the economy, they have to be healthy. In order for them to be healthy, we need to make sure that we're providing the resources that they need along the way.
And looking overseas, Hillary Clinton has already clinched the Democratic nomination. And on the final round of Super Tuesday primaries, she added more delegates to her side. So is her stubborn rival Bernie Sanders finally ready to give in? Diane Gallagher has more.
Arms open, eyes focused on the prize. On the final Super Tuesday, Hillary Clinton acknowledged her achievement of becoming the first woman to secure enough delegates to clinch a major party's presidential nomination.
Thanks to you, we've reached a milestone. We all owe so much to those who came before, and tonight belongs to all of you.
Clinton won Tuesday's biggest prize, California, along with New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. Meanwhile, Democratic rival Bernie Sanders, who won in Montana and North Dakota, said again he will fight through to the convention. Now, on the Republican side, Donald Trump became the presumptive nominee a couple weeks ago. But after coming under fire for controversial comments about the judge overseeing a lawsuit against Trump University, Trump has trained his attacks both on Hillary Clinton and her husband, the former president.
The Clintons have turned the politics of personal enrichment into an art form for themselves.
Trump is under pressure from within his own party to act more presidential. Maine Senator Susan Collins wants him to apologize to the judge he verbally attacked over his Mexican heritage.
He should stop insulting people and groups of people. He is the one who needs to start acting more presidential.
In Los Angeles, I'm Diane Gallagher.
Now, keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers there, we can see everything up. The Dow 66, NASDAQ 12, S&P 500 up at 6. Coming up on News 2, our special summer camp listing begins in the theaters. Plus, the USVI Department of Health reported no new cases of Zika in the territory. According to that weekly surveillance report, the total number of cases remains at 24. 15 of these cases on St. Croix, 8 on St. Thomas, and 1 on St. John. What the numbers indicate. Welcome back. Since the first case of Zika was discovered in January of 2016 in the VI, the Department of Health has been busy. According to the last report released on Tuesday, there are no new cases to report this week. The total number remains at 24. Now, they say even though the numbers are low, the department wants to remind the public how important it is to keep prevention in mind. Here's more. The Department of Health has been vigilant in educating the public, providing free testing to individuals exhibiting symptoms, as well as free inspections ever since the first case.
So it's been about 5 months since we had our first case, and it's been 5 months of a few positive cases every month. So we're at really low levels of Zika virus right now, and we're really just at the beginning of our outbreak. We expect that at some point we'll be in what's called an exponential phase of the outbreak, where you see a dramatic increase in case counts, and that's also followed by an exponential decrease in cases as we start to get on the other side of this outbreak.
The department continues to push all of the free services and items available.
So we've been working very closely with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, to help us strengthen our efforts in tracking this outbreak and enhancing our laboratory services so that we can diagnose this infection quicker and to have more accurate testing, and also how we can get the word out to many different populations about what they can do and educate themselves so that they don't become infected with Zika.
Representatives are also working on some television and radio PSAs that will soon hit the airwaves.
We do know there's two things. One is we're only capturing the tip of the iceberg of what's actually happening, and two, the majority of people that get infected don't have any symptoms at all, or the symptoms are so mild they might be considered inapparent.
Zika is spread primarily through the bite of an infected Aedes species mosquito.
And it's spread when a mosquito bites you. It actually injects a little bit of saliva before it takes the blood meal, and it can inject the virus into you while it's injecting the saliva, and then it takes a blood meal. So an infected mosquito really transmits Zika virus, and sometimes a mosquito can be infected and bite multiple people.
And physicians play a very critical role. We want them to advocate for their patients, especially pregnant women, once again, by connecting them to the free services that the Department of Health has.
Again, according to the weekly surveillance report, the total number of confirmed positive cases in the USVI remains at 24, with 15 of these cases occurring on St. Croix, 8 cases on St. Thomas, and 1 on St. John. To date, Department of Health says 667 pregnant women in the USVI have been tested for Zika, and 3 were confirmed positive. Let's look at the graduation there. The graduates, 5 students, stepped into the future as they received their diplomas on Tuesday evening during the AZ Academy's graduation ceremony. That's the VAL right there, at Innovative Business Center on St. Croix. The keynote speaker was Senator Narida O'Reilly. The graduates are valedictorian Jordan Heller, salutatorian Felicia Daniel, Kevin Lawrence, Sophia Durning, and Ashley Schrader. 16-year-old Keller is the youngest of the class, and the VAL, he earned a full scholarship to UVI to pursue mechanical and electrical engineering. 2 are set for college, UVI, 1 upward bound, and 1 National Guard. Total amount in awards and scholarships, $120,000. Congratulations to the graduates there. The Department of Education kicked off the 8th annual Governor's Summer Reading Challenge. The annual activity challenges students in grades kindergarten to 6 to read 5 or more books during the summer months. This was at Sibley School today. There were special launch events at other schools on St. Croix and St. Thomas. Education and government house officials will be distributing books to students and inspiring them to read this summer.
So we have 5 books that between all of the grade levels, you are going to receive 2 of those books. The challenge is to read how many books?
5 more.
How many books?
5 or more.
5 or more.
With this book, you're going to learn about pelicans. You see them diving for fish, right? The pelican has the biggest, longest bill of any bird in the world. Or the pelicans have been around for 30 million years. So with this book, you're going to learn a lot about nature, and you're going to learn about what is going on around you.
Rain don't fall, sun don't shine if you kill Brunancio. If you kill Brunancio. If you kill Brunancio. Rain don't fall, sun don't shine if you kill Brunancio.
Well, we're kicking off our new summer camp segment, and we'll tell you about some of the summer camps coming up and all the information, contacts, and what's involved. Well, first of all, you want to learn more about lights, camera, and action? Well, Pistarckle Theater encourages you to sign up your young ones for that theater camp coming up. Students must be at least 9 years of age. It's a presentation of School of Rock. They have the opportunity to learn the basics. Now, that camp is from June 20th to July 29th. Performance is set for July 25th to the 29th. You can call for scholarship information at Pistarckle 775-7877. Do you love Shrek the movie? Well, All Saints Cathedral School students are taking over the Reichel this Friday for their production. Students range from all grades. They're involved in the behind the scenes as well as on stage. Here's more.
Community affording me this opportunity to produce this musical at the Reichel Center for the Arts will allow me to enhance my leadership skills and my portfolio so that when I attend UCLA, I will be one step ahead when I pursue a degree in political science and theater directing. My goal is to leave a mark on my school, but especially the Virgin Islands, so that when I come back in the future, I can make an effective change in the community. So Shrek the Musical Jr. will be at Reichel Center this Friday at 7 p.m. sharp. Tickets can be found at the All Saints Cathedral School office, at the Reichel Center box office, and also online at www.reichelcenter.org. The tickets are $10 for students and $20 for adults. And don't forget that this show is produced, performed, and directed completely by students.
Now, the deadline has been extended to Friday, June 10th. The Youth Movie Making Workshop, original music, sound, and video, all done by young people ages 11 and 16. That movie making workshop at Reichel is a 5-week hands-on workshop. Reichel says it's tailored to motivate, educate, and build practical skills in movie making. The students learn how to operate cameras, write scripts, and use digital editing industry standard computer software to film and produce their own scripted stories. Applications are available online at www.reichelcenter.org, or you can call the Reichel for more information at 340-693-1550.
YMW, our Youth Movie Making Workshop, which is our summer program. We start at 11 and go all the way up to 16. They're basically taught it's 2 weeks of instruction, 3 weeks of production. So they come in, they sit with us for those first 2 weeks, and they get to learn how to produce a film, how to use certain equipment, lighting, sound. We're excited about that. That kicks off on June 27th to July 30th. We still have some slots available. It's ages 11 to 16, and we still have some slots available for that. They can call Reichel Center at 693-1550, or you can actually go online at reichelcenter.org.
Great program there. Be sure to call as soon as possible. Slots are filling up quickly. Stick around, and News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.